I'm Rena.
And I'm Ronnie. And this is the R&R Show.
Thank you for tuning in to our first episode. We've been friends for a very long time and making a lot of short film projects, independent film projects together. And, we just figured the one thing we hadn't done is start a talk show.
And here we are, doing a talk show. So check that off the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've never done one of these before, obviously. So bear with us as we get going here.
Yeah, we've been making films together for like 7.5 years.
Man.
We met at a fundraising event for an indie zombie show.
Long time ago.
The first two times I saw him, he was fully dressed in zombie makeup. And then the third time I saw him, he started talking to me and he wasn't in makeup and I had no idea who he was. I thought he was a stranger who just walked up to me.
And I thought she was just a diva because she looked at me like I had 3 heads or something.
I was like, why is this man talking to me?
Stranger danger, yeah.
I mean, look at it.
That was a long time ago. Yeah.
It was a long time
We've done a lot since then, but
Yeah.
and then like I said, here we are. So in the 7.5 years now,
Yeah.
with everything we've done, we obviously we found out stuff we have in common, as much as stuff we don't have in common. But
Yeah.
one of the biggest things we found that we have in common is our love for the Twilight Zone. So when we began talking about this little talk show podcasty kind of thing, the first episode was really easy. I think we had no trouble deciding on what we were going to do. That was the easy part. Everything since then has been a whirlwind of stuff, but here we are. So we're gonna give it a go and see what we think.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do is I have prepared my list of top 5 favorite episodes, and Ronnie doesn't know my list.
And I have prepared a list of 5 of my favorite episodes. I'm real careful to not call them my favorite.
You have to pick a favorite.
That's like
You have to pick a favorite.
That's very hard.
You're gonna have to pick. We will cancel this entire thing until you pick a favorite.
I struggled enough just to narrow my list down to 5. So anybody that's a fan of the show will understand how hard that is. If you ask me today,
I picked a favorite. Just saying.
well, my 5 today may be totally different than my 5 tomorrow.
Okay.
But for my 5 today, I'm ready to go.
Okay.
So in addition to not knowing each other's list, we haven't really decided who's going to go first. So I think we're going to do that now.
Hey, I took rock, paper, scissors for that.
Well, okay.
Who was that? What was that?
Who's that? Could the producer tell that guy to hush back there?
Is there someone else here?
Wow, who would have thunk it? I thought all this stuff just happened. So that's our producer. I guess he wants us to rock, paper, scissors to see who goes first on air.
I think we should flip a coin just to piss him off.
That's not a bad idea. Do you have a coin by chance?
No.
Yes, I stole about a dime earlier.
Well, I don't have any coins on me.
I gave it back to him, so I don't have it. So we're gonna do rock, paper, scissors.
We're gonna rock, paper, scissors.
Okay.
All right, so it's 1, 2, 3, shoot, right? All right,
Yeah,
so.
sure.
Okay, so
Best 3 out of 5.
okay.
She's got 1.
Producer says 3 out of 5. So here we go. So does the winner go first, or get to choose if they go first or pass? We should probably get that out of the way before we decide.
The winner goes first.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay.
All right.
All right, that's one apiece.
Okay.
This might take a while. Bear with us here. All right, I'm up 2-1. We gotta keep going. It's best 3 out of 5 here.
2 out of 3.
Oh my
All
god.
right. So here we
The
go.
whole episode is just gonna be us playing rock, paper, scissors.
Episode 1, rock, paper, scissors. Episode 2, Twilight Zone. Oh, of course.
Got
Hey,
it.
winner takes all.
Okay, winner goes. Winner takes off. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Finally.
Whew,
I'm so excited. We've been talking about this for weeks, and I don't
do we
know
have
your
time?
favorite episodes.
Is it time for a break? Do we have time? We good?
No, you're good.
Is that the entire episode?
The entire episode. Yeah.
I'm so excited.
So thank you for joining us. Episode 2, we'll finally get on to the topic.
Tell me
again.
your list.
Okay, so the much anticipated list. So like I said, it's not necessarily my 5 favorite episodes, The first episode I'm going to bring up is the first episode I remember. My dad watched them when I was little, so I don't really know the first episode I've seen, but my fondest memory, like this is the first one I recall. So that is why it's on my list. It's also a really good episode. So, for my first episode is season 1, episode 34, called The After Hours.
You have to remind me which one that is. I don't know their names very well.
Spoiler alert, the show's 65 years old at this point, but if you do not want to know what's going on, tune out now. The After Hours is the mannequins.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
where each mannequin gets to go out on the town for a month and stuff. So
Interesting.
As a younger kid, seeing that, and then there was a movie in the mid '80s called Mannequin.
Yeah.
So growing up as a child in the '80s, every store I went in from that point on, I'd walk up and be like, peck, peck, peck. Like, are these things really come alive at night? What the heck, man, it's cool. But it was also kind of creepy, and that's what made the Twilight Zone so cool. Even as a kid, it made you think, and like, could this really happen? It's really cool. So that would probably be one of my favorite episodes, but it really just made the list because it's the first one I remember because it made such a lasting impression on me. So that's my first.
That's a good pick. That's not one that I would have guessed for you. That one threw me a little bit. We're off to a weird start.
We're off to a rocking start here. All right,
All
we're
right.
good deal.
I mean, that's a good one. That's definitely one that if it's on, I'll stop and watch that one.
Don't only listen to me. It had an 8.4 IMDb rating, so it's a really good episode.
You nerd.
Did my homework. All right, I can't wait. Here we go.
Okay. My number 5, and this is in order because I did my homework properly. My number 5 is from season 3, and it is The Hunt.
Great episode. I love that episode.
It's one that I didn't. I think when I was a kid, I thought it was kind of boring and I wouldn't pay attention to it. But now I've watched it as an adult, and it's like one of the few that have like a really happy ending. And it's the only one that actually makes me cry.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a beautiful episode. And I feel like something you see a lot in the Twilight Zone is like couples who are kind of toxic and and it certainly starts a conversation about the concept of marriage in like the 50s and 60s and how like the couples didn't like each other.
Yeah.
And you didn't see a lot of examples in media at all at that time because it was that versus the like father knows best sitcom couple. And this was like an elderly couple who was just clearly so familiar and so in love with each other. It was just so sweet. And I mean, he won't go to heaven because they won't take his dog.
You don't have to tell me. Like I said, I love the episode. The writer of that episode, I won't name his name just because I know it, but I won't name it because I don't want to sound like a nerd. He also went on to write The Waltons. The Waltons, which was a huge show when I was a kid watching it. This episode was kind of a precursor that led up to that. So, in addition to that, are you through talking about your number 5 episode? Because I'd like to move on to my number 4 episode, which is season 3, episode 19, called The Hunt. Hyder and Rachel Simpson and the coon dog Rip remind me so much of my grandparents, my mom and my papa, because they talk to each other the same way. He's like, woman, it's about time you get a kiss, and she said, you better stay away from me. It reminded me so much. I grew up at my grandparents' house a whole lot. My grandfather was a coon hunter. Fortunately, he never, again, spoiler alert, he never drowned saving a dog on a hunt. But that episode just means so much to me because it reminds me so much of, like, as far as I'm concerned, the 2 best people to ever walk this earth, just about. And then the dogs. I mean, the man loved his dog so much that he wouldn't go in without him to have him. So think about that for a minute. The dog had saved his life previously. It's the reason he went in after the dog, and they both met their end. But it's very ironic. As soon as you said what you said, I was like, holy crap.
That was one that I suspected that we might have in common.
That was one that I was curious about.
Yeah.
Obviously, we both love dogs, but I wasn't sure because there's so many episodes.
That one's pretty unique as far as the Twilight Zone goes. Like, it's not classic.
Yes.
Spooky Twilight Zone.
But one of my favorite lines from any episode was at the end when the angel tells Hyder, he says, even the devil can't fool a dog. Like, it's just, as a dog person, Love it. Love it.
It's a very sweet episode.
So yeah, there we go. It didn't take long for us to duplicate one.
Anyway.
So now it's your
Okay, so
turn
it's
again.
my number 4.
Back to you. Yeah.
My number 4 is classic Twilight Zone, and it's one that I don't think I thought that much of, again, as a kid when I first started watching the Twilight Zone. And it's actually one of the few that don't have like a paranormal element. My number 4 is also from season 3, and it's The Shelter.
Oh, yes. Such
And that one just hits different for me after 2020. Like it resonates now that I've lived through that event. I'm at a different point in my life. It just hits different.
I
I
get
can
it.
see that happening for real. It seems so far fetched at one point, and now I'm like, oh, this is like such a commentary on, the human condition. This is exactly how people would behave.
In 2020, people were fighting over toilet paper.
There were people like claiming they were going to break into people's houses in my neighborhoods for toilet paper.
Yes. So that one did not make my list, but it was on the. It was a possibility. It's a really good episode, and yes, for the same reasons.
Yeah, and it's just the dialogue between the neighbors. It's such a character driven.
How quickly they turned on
intense.
each other.
Yeah.
Dear friends, they eating dinner together and everything, and just how quickly they turn on each other in a time of emergencies and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just heartbreaking because at the end they're just like, well, we'll just throw a block party and like it'll be fine. Everything will go back to normal. And it's like, oh, that's how quickly everything can just change.
That is the new normal, unfortunately. Yeah. So, well, all right. Well, then I will. That's a heavy one. That's a heavy episode. So I'm gonna break it up. This one is just a really fun episode to me. When the marathons are on every year, I hope that this one's on, even though I can watch it anytime I want. If it's on, I sit down, drop everything, and watch it. It is season 2, episode 28, and it is called "Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up?"
Okay.
I freaking love this episode. There is the humor in it. Jack Elam, the crazy old man in this episode. It just, again, growing up at my grandparents' house a lot, my grandfather watched a lot of westerns, all the gun smokes and just you name it. And Jack Elam's in them. And even as a kid, I was like, "What's wrong with his eye? His eye's messed up." Well, come to find out, he got in a fight with a kid and got stabbed in the eye. That's why his eye was like that. He's perfect in this role for this. But will the real Martian please stand up? I'm not going to give away the ending because it's such a fun episode that I don't want to do that. I want you to go back and watch it if you haven't already. It's a kind of a roller coaster of like what's going on, who is it, who done it, whatever, blah, blah. And then bam, you get hit with it and then, or did you? There's a lot to it there. It's just a really fun episode to me.
Okay. So I have to skip around on my list now.
Okay.
Because will the real Martian shut up? Please stand up is my all-time favorite.
Oh my goodness!
Episode. That is my number 1.
How about that?
It's so well done because it's kind of like it's a little bit paranormal, but it's also it's a closed door mystery.
Yeah.
It's you've
a regular
got
Ray Bradbury, you might say.
Yeah, you've got who wrote an episode of the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
You've got people snowed in a diner, and one of them doesn't belong there, and you've got to figure out who it is. And there's like little things that happen throughout, and the way that the suspense is built, I've seen it a ton of times, and it gets me like when the salt shakers explode, it gets me every single time.
Yes.
I love that episode. That is one of my favorite pieces of media ever.
I'm so glad we are in agreement on
that was
all
another one that I was like, he's gonna have that on his list.
Look, it's really hard to make a list of 5 when there's 156 episodes to choose from. So it's crazy. I didn't know if we'd have any duplicates, and we already had 2.
I didn't think that we would because I've been asking people out of curiosity. I asked my husband, the person I've been married to, what his list was, and he just started naming episodes, and none of them were even in my top 15.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, there's no way we're gonna have crossover. So that's crazy.
How about that? Yeah.
It's funny how like different, there's something in it for everyone, and different things resonate for different people, and they resonate at different points in their lives. And it's incredible how well 65 years later they hold up.
Yes, absolutely. So we've done 3 episodes apiece, and we've hit on 2, correct?
Yes.
We've hit on 2. So it's now time for me to tell you my number 2 episode, which you haven't picked up on yet, is season 3, episode 1, titled 2. It is unlike almost any other episode that's going to be on any of my list because there's only one line of dialogue in the whole thing. It's the post-apocalyptic Charles Bronson and Elizabeth Montgomery. They're 2 surviving members of opposing armies.
Okay.
And it's just, I can't even explain why I love it so much. It's just, again, growing up when I did, Charles Bronson was the tough guy, death wish, just, you know, and then she's a comedian on Bewitched, and you know, so just to see this dynamic between these 2 that I knew, before I ever remember seeing this show, I knew of them completely differently. So to see them in these roles, and just, again, there's one line of dialogue in the whole thing, but just the story is still there. You know exactly what they're going through, and I'm bad at explaining it, but it is just such a beautiful episode to me. I love it.
That sounds funny.
And I'm going to pass it to you.
I should have known that you were gonna. That one doesn't surprise me. I should have guessed that one.
You should have guessed that one. There's a reason.
I really don't like that episode.
What?
I really don't like that one.
Wow, okay.
I don't like. He makes me really uncomfortable. Their interactions make me really uncomfortable. It does. It for me. It didn't age well.
Yeah.
It's
a
like,
product of the time.
To me, it's like, oh, I don't want to be like left with this man alone in the world.
Yeah.
Like he scares me. Like there's something about his interactions with her and his physicality and stuff that's just like, this is vaguely threatening. I don't. Yeah. It didn't. It didn't hold up for me.
I can see that. I
Yeah.
can see that. I took it more as a. Yeah, that was just it was just him, and almost like we talked about in The Hunt, like in that time that you know the husband-wife relationship, it wasn't always lovey-dovey, and I just took that he was just a mean, rough exterior. That's just how he was. I mean, it wasn't a love story really, but I think it's where it was eventually going to lead to when they finally do kind of. She puts on the dress, and then they. I don't know.
Yeah,
I really like
weird
it
because the part where he just like throws the dress on at her and is like, "Put it on." I'm like, dude, stop.
Well,
I'm so uncomfy.
See, and I took that as she wanted the dress. She wanted to put the dress on, but wouldn't do it. I took that as him just saying, "If I don't tell you to do it, you're not going to do it." I don't know. I understand where you're coming from.
That one's probably.
Hey, we're not going to hit on all 5.
Yeah, I don't like
okay,
that one.
all right, we're not going to hit on all 5.
That was a terrible choice. Thank you.
Well, you know.
Okay, so where are you?
I've only got 1 left, so you should have 2.
I have 2. Okay. Because you stole one of mine. 2 of mine.
You stole one of mine, actually.
Okay, so my number 3 is it's also from season 3.
Season 3 was.
Yeah, apparently that's a strong season for me. It's Midnight Sun.
Oh yes.
And that one stood out for me when I first saw it because, number one, it's one of the first episodes that I saw where, you know, there's a lot of like, you know, you have a female character who's going through something, but they're like, hair is just gorgeous. Like there's the one that's had a nervous breakdown and she's in the hospital, but her hair and makeup is just to a T perfection. And the woman then there's the one where the woman gets like her bandages off her head and her hair, every curl is in place. But this was one where it's like, oh, these people look rough. And it's also one of the first episodes that I saw where it was 2 women actually interacting with each other. And it's still like, you know, the premise is the sun is getting closer to the earth and it's hot. Like people are trying to move north to get out of it, and the way that like the heat plays a character in it, and again, like it holds up to this day when you're talking about climate change. And
well, you're talking about how the heat was a character, like especially in you know the early '60s. I mean, like the way she's dressed is almost taboo for that time frame. Like she's like in her undergarments pretty much because it's so hot and sweat and the paintings are melting and everything. So yeah, it was it definitely still holds up, I think. And for that time, it was, I think, very, like you said, 2 women in the lead and just the other stuff is just, but yeah, and then I'm not going to give away the ending. It's your
yeah, I mean, it's got a good twist.
It's got a good ending. Yeah. Really good, really good. So, is that all you've got on that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so it has come time. I can't. What's up?
Oh, no. Just 18 minutes. So just keep going.
Okay. Yeah, I can't see it. Sorry, producer's telling us we gotta hurry up. So I'm on my last episode, which, again, I tried to say this is not my favorite episodes. These aren't, but this one could be. Again, if you ask me tomorrow, it may be different. But this one, when I made this list, this one never was not on my top 5 list. From, guess what, season 3. Episode 14 of season 3, which is episode 79 overall, and it is called 5 Characters in Search of an Exit.
Okay.
I'm just going to give it away, okay? So it opens, and you've got 5 of the most random people, a soldier, a ballerina, a clown, a hobo, and a bagpipe player, and they're trapped in a room. They can't get out. And I don't remember how young I was when I first seen this. I mean, I know I was old enough that I probably didn't still play with toys, but the ending made me think, like, holy crap, like, what if? I guess I'm giving the ending away. Like, they can't get out. They finally get out, and it turns out they're toys the whole time. There's a lot of story building there that I just skipped through, but movies like Toy Story, like, I think we're basically this. This is Toy Story, which has been one of the biggest grossing movies ever, especially for children. And it just, again, it's just always on my list. It had that twist ending that, again, when I seen this first time when I was younger, it really hit me. It's probably kind of mild now for Twilight Zone twist endings. It might be a little mild, but at that time, it just really hit me like, holy crap! Like, okay, now it all makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's again, I'm trying to be careful not to say it's not my favorite episode, maybe. And I did obviously from this list, I tried to avoid the mainstream everybody's favorite episodes, obviously. So if I take those out, there's the big heavy hitters at the top. If I take those out, this may be my favorite episode.
Okay.
That's why it's number 1 on my list.
Okay. That's one of the ones that I guessed for you specifically because of your short film Dark Room.
Of course. Well, honestly, Dark Room was also 2. It was.
I can see that.
It was these 2 stories is where I got the.
Okay.
Is where I got the.
Yeah, I can see that, but that's definitely one that I forgot all about too. But that's one that I definitely thought for you.
And that's another reason it's one of my favorites.
Okay, well then I guess number 2, because you already took my number 1. My number 2 is from season 1, and it is When the Sky Was Opened, which is the one where the pilots are like fading out of reality.
Yes.
That one, most of my like favorite Twilight Zone episodes fall into the category of suspense.
Yeah.
Like, I love the suspenseful episodes. It was so good at building suspense. And I picked this one specifically because they're pilots, and the aviation related episodes are kind of near and dear to me because my dad is the one who introduced me to the Twilight Zone. And my earliest memories are like watching the Twilight Zone with my dad. And he was introduced to the Twilight Zone by his dad. So it's a fun generational thing, and then everything that has to do with aviation reminds me of him. So I had to have one that was aviation related. And when I called him and asked him for his favorites, Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up was also on his list.
Nice. Well, the aviation ones is so funny because number 6 on my list, had we went further, was actually the Odyssey of Flight 33, which is my favorite aviation ones because I've not flown a lot in my lifetime, but every time I do, I'm like, not only am I looking out at the wing, but I'm also like, am I gonna make it where I'm supposed to be going? You know what I'm talking about.
Am I gonna see a dinosaur?
Am I gonna see dinosaurs?
It's a World Fair down there.
I love that episode. There's a lot of the aviation ones. Big fan of Probe 7 Over and Out. I like kind of the build up of that. A lot of the ones I found I like hit on like the loneliness and the solitude of Probe 7 Over and Out. If you're familiar with it. He crash lands on a planet millions of miles away, and he's alone. He thinks, and all this stuff. Anyway, I know our producers complaining because we're running over time, and we've started talking about episodes that's not on our list. But anyway,
we can talk about more. I listed out 15 to talk about off the air.
I can talk about 156 of them. I'm just saying, I'm ready. And see, you tell me your terrible episodes that I shouldn't like. Anyway, so how are we gonna close this thing out? Hope you enjoyed this episode.
I feel like our producer had something planned for us, and I'm scared.
Oh man,
I'm
that's
really
right.
scared.
Should we paper rock scissors? See who asks him what we're doing
Paper
next.
rock scissors. Why do you keep saying paper rock scissors? That's not a thing.
I did it that time on purpose. Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
No, actually, we're gonna play a game.
We're gonna play a game.
We're gonna play a game.
Okay.
I don't want to.
Because
It's not in my contract.
oh well, that's fine. Because we gotta figure out what's going to happen for next episode. So I guess we'll play a game, and then the winner gets the choice. They can either choose the next topic,
Okay.
or they can pass.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm assuming episode 2 can't be the next 5 episodes of the Twilight
No,
Zone.
we're not doing any more Twilight Zone
My
stuff.
least favorite Twilight Zone episodes.
You know, that would also be, well, that'd be
And
easier.
2 is on it now.
That would be easier than the best 5, but I would struggle probably for some of that even.
All right, so we're going to play a word game.
Oh boy.
All right, go ahead and flip this
I don't know
around.
any words.
And the category is film titles.
God.
I don't watch
Flip the whole
films.
thing around. Yep.
Roger.
Okay. Yeah, Rena.
Oh my God.
So the O's not in the right spot, but there's
Correct.
no in it. Okay.
Races.
Okay. One.
There's a glare.
9, 10.
I don't know what's going on.
Rally?
No.
There's an O in it.
Roads.
1.
But there isn't. Radio?
Okay, 10 seconds.
Oh my
1,
goodness.
What is it?
2, 3, 4, 8, 9.
What are you trying to tell me?
What is it?
Rambo.
Rambo. Alright. That's 1 for Ronnie. Alright.
That's the one for me? Wait, we still going?
Honestly,
This is gonna last longer than the
I'm sorry, we weren't
Yeah.
allowed to talk about the Twilight Zone any longer, but we can spend
Yeah,
15
no,
minutes
we're
playing
actually
rock, paper,
over, so-
scissors.
yeah, honestly, we're already at 30 minutes on this episode, so we'll go ahead and just let you go ahead and be the winner.
My brain is fried, so I for real, I'm gonna pass. I don't. That's right. I can pass, right? Because I won.
Pass it to her if you do not want to come up with a topic.
I don't. I've done so much research for this one and watched so much Twilight Zone that it's on you.
Wow.
Congratulations, you won.
Great.
You're welcome.
Thanks for that.
I'm gonna regret it as soon as you say whatever the topic is. I'm gonna be like, I should have went and I should have picked something else. But
Okay, so I should pick something that you're going to hate, is what you're saying?
I know, but
Okay.
you probably don't. Anyway. Do we have to pick right now? Like we doing it now, like on the fly?
No, I'm ready. Okay,
because he told me I had like a day to think about it. I might not want to pass, you know.
well, I'm sorry. I guess you should have done
I've
your
done
homework.
pass, yeah.
Okay. I want to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart, and ironically, based on or share some. I have to start over. Hang on.
It's near and dear to your heart. Okay, got that.
I want to tell you all about the Curse of the Poltergeist franchise,
Okay.
which ironically was loosely based, or may or may not have been based on an episode of the Twilight Zone.
Okay. I can live with that.
Okay.
The Curse of the Poltergeist franchise. All right.
Okay. Should I change it to something?
No,
that
I
you're
can
not
live
gonna
with
like?
that.
Do you want me to tell you about Taylor Swift?
I'm good with Poltergeist. I mean, I can listen to you talk about Taylor Swift. I hear my daughter talk about her playing. So, yeah.
I'll try harder.
So Curse of the Poltergeist franchise is episode 2.
That is.
All right. Producer agree?
Sounds good.
Producer approved. All right.
All right.
Time to get out of here.
All right.
Okay.
So that's a wrap on
That's
episode
a
1.
wrap.
I
We
guess
did it. We made it.
We
We
should
survived.
say goodbye and thank you.
Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Please come back for episode 2.